said that the price has not increased, the price has not changed. But the oil marketers are saying that because the landing cost has changed, so there is every possibility for them to increase the pump price of fuel to whatever price they are determined to sell it today. And reports across the Federation have it that some are already selling, even in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, at 170 naira per litre, while in Lagos, some filling stations are equally selling at 170 naira per litre. But NNPC is still selling at 170 naira per litre. Welcome to Democratic Park. This is truly Shudeke. And on this week's on the program, we are taking a look at discrete pump price increase of fuel. Focus, because there has been that bulk passing between NNPC, DPR, and of course the independent marketers. I have joining me in the studio great Nigerians that will be taking a look at this all important topic. The first person in the studio with me is Engineer TAJUDEEN, OLORI, who is an oil and gas expert. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
The second guest who will join us very, very shortly is MOHAMMED, ADEBESIN, a business development analyst. He will be joining us to also look at it from that perspective, how it will affect business enterprises in Nigeria, how can they go forward from this present situation. Now, Engineer OLORI, let's begin this way. There has been inconsistency. There has never been a particular price at which fuel is selling from any filling station. Why NNPC is claiming that the landing cost has increased, but the pump price has not changed. The independent marketers are singing a different tune, that the money, because the landing cost has increased, they equally have to increase their pump price. Now, in all of this, and aside that as well too, the federal government has a committee which involved labor unions still looking at the veracity of what should be the pump price of fuel in Nigeria. But there has been a discrete increment by oil marketers, no doubt about that. Even NNPC too. NNPC about 3 years ago used to sell at 150 naira per litre, but today it is 162 naira per litre. A lot of Nigerians don't know. But for those who are concerned, for those who use this for their businesses, they are raising eyebrows. In all of this, what can you make out of this?
Well, good evening, viewers. The reality is now coming to the fore, is becoming dawn on the masses. Because if you recollect on this program, I've said it before that you will get to a stage that you'll be buying at different prices from different petrol stations. And if you want to be realistic, for the people that have been following, they will tell you that the crude price has been increasing. As at yesterday, the crude price, I think Brent crude was about $63 per barrel. You recollect that at a time they were selling at $30, $32, $42. Now that the crude price have gone up to about $63, you don't expect to sell at the same rate, because all these other products of crude that we are consuming, that is when we talk about the general masses, petrol, diesel, kerosene, all these ones, you don't expect them to remain at the same price, coupled with the fact that our economy has not been doing very well. The exchange rate, we all know today, is about 470 naira to $1. So if you add all this together, you don't expect the pump price to be the same. And if NNPC is telling us that yes, the landing cost has increased, but the pump price has not increased, so who is fooling who? And that is where Nigerians need to now open their eyes and understand the kind of a game that the government is playing. Government cannot come out and tell you that, hey, sorry, the pump price will have to go up. They want to appear as if they are defending the masses. But then, the reality is that the landing cost has increased. We know what is happening in the international market, and so the pump price cannot remain the same. NNPC is not the only source of the petroleum products that we are consuming in Nigeria. So if you say that you have deregulated, I'm surprised that government is now still coming to say they want to regulate. If you say you have deregulated, then deregulate. So we don't really understand what is happening in Nigeria, because now economy is not okay. The exchange rate is fluctuating every day. The crude oil price is fluctuating. So why do we have to expect the pump price to remain the same? So that's the reality.
Okay, but talking about the regulation that you just mentioned, government has said that it wants to take its hand off the crude oil production so that the marketers can directly deal with the masses, I mean with Nigerians as it were. But information emanated that government still spend a lot, billions of naira subsidizing fuel in Nigeria, even to the tune of 11.6 billion naira weekly. So where lies the regulation here?
I think the media has to engage the government seriously on this, because today they talk about the regulation, tomorrow they are talking about subsidy. Now the new one is we have been subsidizing electricity. So when you talk about the energy sector in Nigeria, I don't really understand the stand of the government. Yes, they'll say this is the policy, but are we implementing the policy the way it should be implemented? I am not very sure, because if you say you have deregulated, you will only have a regulating body, and there must have been a template that has been agreed. Okay, if this is the landing cost, this is the profit margin, and that is what the government should try to enforce. And it will take some time before we begin to realize the benefits. But again, if we don't manage our economy very well, because that is why all of us are still talking about this thing every year, every time. We keep talking about the pump price of fuel. I don't think people in Britain or in Netherlands or in US will waste their time talking about pump price, because they know that, okay, this thing has to do with some balances, some forces. So, but the problem in Nigeria is our economy is not stable. Today, your dollar, your naira exchange for 150. Tomorrow it could go to 160. Yesterday it was 130, 140. So when you are talking about a dollar costing us about 470 naira, so what do you expect? Something that is coming from outside. Until we can produce sufficiently in the country, we will keep talking about this.
Okay, can the private refinery provide any intervention here? Because we have an individual in Nigeria that's almost completing its own refinery. With that coming on board, that coming on stream, can there be a kind of balance, like you rightly pointed out, that there is no balancing in the system? Would there be any steady balance here?
We will have a kind of a stable system if we have the much awaited Dangote refineries coming on board. I think it's about 600,000 barrels per day capacity, and what we are producing today is not up to that. So if that comes on stream, it's going to cushion some of these effects of the foreign earnings, foreign exchange on the pump price. But then it depends on the kind of an agreement that is in place between him and the government, because he will be buying at the same market rate that the other refineries are buying, and so he will want, is in business to make profit, so he will want to sell into a place where he will make more money. But this is a refinery in Nigeria. We can have an agreement. You have to sell a certain percentage into the Nigerian market, because if you don't sell into the Nigerian market, it will still be the same thing, because if it sells out and you go out and you buy and you bring it in. And you know, very many times I talk about the LPG. The LPG price is somehow cushioned because we are producing these things in Nigeria and we are selling some of it into Nigeria. So Dangote refineries coming on board will help Nigeria. It will help us a great deal.
Will it bring stability in the price?
Stability in the sense that I don't understand.
Because if you have an NPC also playing a role in the market, and you have an individual now coming on board to have that huge capacity of barrels to be produced on a daily basis, then that means there will be competition with an NPC. So with that relatively bring stability in the price like we have in the telecommunications industry.
Let's look at it this way. How much is NNPC producing? As of today, NNPC is not producing, they are just importing. And so if you have someone that is producing in Nigeria, the kind of competition that I would want to see is NNPC now sitting back and saying, we have our refineries, why has it not been working? And so I will expect to see a situation where our refineries will begin to work. And if our refineries will begin to work, then if NNPC is really for the masses, they will force Dangote to bring down the price. Look at what happened when it was only MTN. MTN was they started this thing, and you know the price of acquiring a SIM card at that time. Then you have Blue, then you have Airtel, then you have the other ones. And now today, what's the price of a SIM card? So if the other refinery comes on board and they are producing so huge that NNPC will feel it, then NNPC, if they still want to be part of the people that will be controlling some parts of the market, then they will have to sit tight. But that refinery coming on board, we have very, very great effect, and it's going to be positive effect on our economy.
All right, thank you very much. We are still having on board, we're still discussing the discrete increase in pump price of fuel, and that is our focus on Democratic Party this week. Before we go on this break, a quick one here. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Timothy Silva, did mention that Nigerians should be prepared for hike in price of pump price of fuel. Will you say you are shocked by what is happening now in the market?
No, I'm not shocked. I just laid the statistics on the floor for all of us to see. The crude price is going up. The economy is not good. The exchange rate is fluctuating. So how do you expect a stable?
Perhaps he has foreseen what is going to happen in the future. That's why he made that statement then.
You know, if you are a great player in this sector, you can, when you look at the forecast, you know that the crude price will go up at a particular point in time. And that's what we are witnessing now. At the time people were struggling, we were struggling. At the time it was zero pricing. Today it is $60-something dollars per crude, per barrel. So it's something that is foreseen. And when the crude price is going up, you don't expect the petroleum products pricing in Nigeria to remain the same with the kind of economy that we are running.
It's supposed to go down or come down, go up or come down when you have the crude oil at the international market going up. But before you take on that, we would like to go on this break now. We'll be right back as we allowed our second guest, MOHAMMED, ADEBESIN, to join us on the program. Join us again.
Good morning, sir. You are here already?
No, now my spirit day, my body day for house. What kind of question is that? Were you not the one that fixed this meeting for 8 a.m.? You are now coming by 10 a.m. and start asking me jab questions.
But Chief, now, I'm sorry. Don't you also go late for meetings sometimes? You know now, African time.
No more African time. And no more pancaking of face during office hours. At the end of the day, we will lose valuable time. We will not make progress. If we want to move this nation forward, we must treat business as business and respect time. Change begins with me.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. Can we go for the meeting now, Chief?
Better.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Yo, welcome back. We are now joined by Mohammed, ADEBESIN, a business development analyst. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
So from my own perspective, the price keeps fluctuating, price of pump price of fuel in Nigeria. Some will sell at 165, some 170. Some are even saying that they still need to go as high as 190. What's your take?
Well, it's unfortunate anyway. It's expected because when you have so many interests and those who quote and unquote ought to be regulators are actually not regulating, but they are also profiteering. This is what you expect to get. Because if we want to say our refineries are not working and we are importing petroleum products, definitely the international market price will always have effects on the landing costs. And the government is saying subsidy cannot work, not because it is wrong to give subsidy to citizens, but because the government is telling us that it cannot successfully monitor the fraud or the corruption in the subsidy regime. Because ab initio, the crude oil that you took out to refine, there's supposed to be some level of crude oil for local refining. So if you take that out and sell at international market price, and you make money at international market rate, and you earn the money, then you license some people to now go and import a crude that you've already sold at another international market price and bring it in at international market cost, with all the plus and minuses addendum cost to it. So the citizen is eventually paying, is like an economic rent. They are paying double what they're supposed to be paying. So if government says, okay, if a sincere government will say, okay, the crude we sold at the international market price, the excess we get from it, the fund we get from it, part of it should go to subsidizing petroleum products. Now, because there's corruption in subsidizing, which is a failure of the government to monitor that corruption, they stopped subsidy. And they now ask us, an oil-producing country, to buy petroleum products at international market price.
What is more worrisome here, Mohammed, is the fact that the price of crude oil, even internationally, keeps increasing almost on a daily basis. As of yesterday, that is Thursday, 18th of February, it is $63 per barrel. Now, expectedly, an average Nigerian would have thought that this should be a good development for the nation, that the price is increasing, that the citizens should be able to feel the impact of increment, so that the price of the pump price will drop at the filling stations. But the reverse is the case.
Yes, the price of pump price will not drop based on the current economics we are operating. Now, the price that went up yesterday was as a result of the cold weather in the U.S. that caused panic that the U.S. shale will affect production. Just like during the Gulf, when the war in the Arab region caused a hike in the price of crude oil. So since the price of crude oil has gone up, we should not forget that the people in this sector are not socialists, they are all capitalists. So they jump at such opportunity. And they know that, even in economics, that there are products that forces of demand and supply does not affect them negatively. It's just like salt. Because it is an essential commodity, if it goes expensive, you must still buy.
But fuel too is an essential commodity.
That's what I'm saying, that there are products that cost does not really affect their usage. You must use them. So the people who deal in petroleum products know that no matter the landing cost, people will buy. And the people here are capitalists. In normal climes, what happens is that there's a regulator that tries to regulate it at the interest of the citizens, that this is where you can put it.
Try to put a ceiling.
Yes. But when that regulator is also not actually regulating, what do you expect to get? What do you expect to get? Because we are only just talking about the end price. We should look at it. It is a value chain. NNPC is saying they did not increase fuel price, but you did not increase fuel price. But these people that import their own product, they cover almost 80% of the oil product value chain. How many filling stations does NNPC have? Even their own storage, they hire private storage to even store their own product. So, unless we want to deceive ourselves, NNPC is not a major player. It's only a major player in terms of authority. It is not a major player in the reality of what is on the ground in the sector.
Okay, Engineer Olori, now, it is assumed that once there is a positive development in any sector of the economy, be it in Nigeria or international community, then the impact of that is that the government should be able to get the essence, plow it back to society, and let people feel the impact in terms of infrastructure and what have you. Now, if the price has gone up to $63 per barrel, that means Nigeria will be making more money now selling to the international market, regardless of the forces of demand and supply. So, again, it's also expected that this essence that Nigeria is making should be able to cushion the effects of the petroleum downstream sector, so much that Nigerians should not buy at a higher rate from the filling stations.
There are lots of things involved when we talk about deriving benefits from what we have in Nigeria. You know, when Mr. ADEBESIN was talking, he talked about failure on the part of government in controlling the fraud that we have in subsidy, because there is no economy where you don't have subsidy of one product or the other. But what is happening in Nigeria is that when we say we are subsidizing, the subsidy doesn't even get to the masses, because at a point in time, government was subsidizing heavily and we don't have the products at the petrol stations. Yeah, really, if the pump price has gone up, if the crude price has gone up, it should be good news to Nigeria, because we are making more money. And my insight into the oil and gas sector, there are lots of things that is not very open to the masses. You know, at the time that pump price, crude price went down, OPEC came on board and they decided to cut the production quota to some of the countries. So when you look at it, you see that what you are pumping at that time, you are not allowed to pump as much as you would have loved to pump. But that one was done so that they can shore up the prices. Now the price has gone up, and then the quota is slightly restricted, because I know towards the end of January, a lot of these IOCs were struggling to meet the quota, because some of them were cheating, they were trying to overproduce, but towards the end of January, they were trying to shrink so that they will not be accused of not doing that. Now the price has gone up, the quota is slightly reduced, is lifted. Now, because of that, you will see that a lot of countries will make more money. But the money that we are making in Nigeria, where are we spending it? It does not necessarily mean that we have to put it on subsidy. There are some other things, other areas that are begging for attention in Nigeria. But where is the money going? The only thing you see is our politicians now becoming lavish, because you have a lot of money at their disposal. Where is the money coming from? All this excess money that is coming in. That is where government needs to sit tight. When we are making more money, let the masses see it, because now that the price has gone up to 60-something dollars, tomorrow it might drop to 50. And that is why I am not happy with the way the deregulation is going. Because with deregulation, when the crude price goes down, then the prices of the products at the petrol stations should also drop. But in Nigeria, we don't feel it like that. They still tell you that, yes, we are subsidizing every time. So what we need, what the government needs to do, one, is on their own part to stop the way we spend anyhow, that people don't see. You see a lot of things that are begging for attention. Electricity, we don't have. The roads are not very good. Security is not very good. Virtually all the facets of our economy is begging for attention. And we are making more money. Where is the money going? So that is one. Two, the IOCs, the international oil companies, are the ones that are feeding fat on this, because they are the operators of major exploration companies that we have in this country. And so when the quota is up, they make more money, they take it to their countries to develop their countries. Why don't we go into serious agreement? I don't know the kind of agreement that we have, because other countries are not like this. The IOCs are also supposed to help in the developing of the economy. Look at the Netherlands, look at Britain, look at some other small countries. Even if you go to Austria, all those countries are developed based on the proceeds from oil. What is wrong with Nigeria? So we have a lot of money that we are making, yes, because of the increase in the crude price, but we are not realizing the benefit. But the government has to redirect their attention. The money we are making, let the masses see it, and then go into serious agreement with the IOCs that they should help in developing the country. We have the, you know this thing that we are talking about, we call it non-renewable energy. As we are taking it from the ground, it's not going back there. At a particular point in time, this thing will not be there again then. How do we develop our country? It is what you have sown that we reap later. But we are not sowing anything that we will go back on.
All right, Mohammed, at a point in the history of this nation, we had, there was an era when some filling stations were designated as commercial filling stations, some were designated as private filling stations. Now, with what we are witnessing in Nigeria today, the oil marketers have cried out loud that for them to remain in business, the price of pump price of fuel must go up a little bit. Even some of them have started selling at 170 naira per liter, some 165 naira, some 168 naira. Now, with this scenario, it is expected that business should witness expansion in all facets, not shrinking, not going down, not folding up. But the present situation that we have in Nigeria today, are we likely to see a situation that in the oil and gas sector of this economy, businesses will grow?
Okay, thank you. See, we'll dissect that issue from two perspectives. Now, the oil marketers, or how do I put it, the oil marketers or the private oil marketers, independent marketers, let me put it, they are in business. And in fairness to them, you have to ask them, what is your landing cost? Nobody comes into business to make loss. Unless one of the theories that have been propounded, and I don't know why our government have not adopted them, is the issue of refined contracts. Some countries will take the crude for local consumption, and if I sign a refining contract somewhere, they refine, you know the quantity you want to refine, you bring it in at so price, and let both in the independent marketer and the government aspect, let them buy from a primary source. Then from there you can say, okay, sell at so amount locally. But when you don't give them where to source their product, they have to go out and source it at international market price, and the landing cost is high. There's nothing we want to do about that. It has to be landing cost plus markup. That's what will give them their profit. Or else they can't be in business. And the second side is that if we are expecting businesses to grow, it cannot happen, because our economy as it is, nearly every business depends on oil, because electricity is not stable. If you go to a bank now and ask them what is your diesel cost in a month, you'll be amazed. They will be telling you 400, 500,000 per branch. Take that bank-wide. If you go to ordinary businesses, welders, those who operate cold room, ask them, what is your power cost? You see, even if you get to your vicinity in the night, you will not be able to have a silent night until after 12 midnight, because everybody is putting on generator. If you want to take a calculation of the 5 liters that people queue up at the filling station to buy, and look at that cost on individual, because in economics, what makes life better is the individual's propensity to save. It's your propensity to save that gives you a propensity to consume. So if you earn 100,000 and already fueling and everything that has to do with power has taken out 30,000, what propensity to save do you have? We have not even talked about propensity to even invest. So we cannot, in the Nigerian scenario, the increase in oil price will always lead to hardship for the larger economic activity that are not the direct beneficiaries of the oil imports. Because only the oil marketers that will be making profits. For the other people, unless we have to do cost transfer, if bread is 100 naira, because diesel has gone up, my cost has increased. Bread now goes to 120. Taxi driver takes 15 naira to 17 naira. And we now start talking of double-digit inflation. But we saw it coming. It's a trend.
But a news emanated just about 48 hours ago that Nigeria, we have exited a recession, that in the fourth quarter of 2020, the Nigeria recorded 0.11% growth in the economy. And by that, so we have been able to move out of a recession. Now, if we have been able to move out of a recession and there has been that marginal growth of 0.11%, it is expected that that should translate positively on the economy, and the issue of pump price of fuel that we are talking about should not be a thing that should be of any concern to anybody.
With recession, that's a good news. But for those of us who understand economics, it's like you say GDP. If you say GDP, that the country's GDP is XYZ. If you take out all the sectors that are measured together to give you the GDP, there may be 100. The growth that gave you that GDP may come from just 4 sectors, while the rest 96 sectors are in comatose. So that the fact that we exit recession does not guarantee that the economy generally is doing well per sector. Some sectors would have been responsible for the jump, that a weighted average of it gave us growth. It does not come down to say the farmers in Northeast where there is insecurity made money, or that the person that is doing another type of business that did not do well made money, or the man that depends on epileptic power. At the same time that we are attending a recession, we are out of recession, the power grid still collapse. Don't forget. So when power grid collapse, what economic effect does it have? So that we exited recession is a weighted average of all economic activity.
Okay, Alaji, succinctly put, one can then agree that if there are 1 or 2 sectors of the economy that are responsible for this growth that led to Nigeria's exiting recession, then I want to believe that oil and gas sector should be a key player there in this. So if oil and gas sector is a key player, then one should have expected that the price of fuel should be within the income of an average Nigerian.
You said the problem when we started, I said something that it is because the economy is not doing well, and all the sectors of our economy is like collapsing. They're talking about Nigeria coming out of recession. Yes, maybe because we are making some money, and the money probably is coming from majorly from the oil and gas. Because if you talk about agricultural sector now, there's a lot of problem. We know what is there. A lot of farmers cannot go to the farm again. So because the crude price has gone up, yes, we have a lot of money that is coming to Nigeria. But are we benefiting from what is supposed to be the value chain of this petroleum sector. No. Our refineries, are they working? They are not working. And you know a lot of things. You see the ripple effect that this will cause. And that is why if you fix the petroleum sector, you fix a lot, because you will fix the energy sector. And the energy sector plays a big role in the commercial activities in the country. So if we say that we are out of the recession, what has this translated to when you talk about the masses? Do they know it? Are they feeling it? I'm not very sure that they are feeling it. A lot of businesses have collapsed. A lot of people are out of jobs, unemployment, because some people cannot pay salaries again. Some salaries have been cut. And we say we are out of recession. So that would be to those people of the books. But to the people on the streets, they have not seen Nigeria coming out of recession, because that hardship is biting harder and harder. And you know, the best way to tackle this is for government to just hands off all these things. When they remove their hands from this, you will now see that the sector will be run the way it is supposed to be run. I don't know why the government are still holding on to the refineries that we have in Nigeria. You are holding on to refineries, it's not producing, you keep importing, then why are you holding it? Because some of the proceeds from the crude oil that all these IOCs are helping us to produce, you are spending them on the people, a lot of people that are employed in the refineries that are not productive. So that is a drain pipe on the economy. But if you sell the refineries, if you buy one, I buy one, he buys one, and we will make it to begin to produce, you will see competition. Because then it will no longer be, hey, this is federal government of Nigeria, this is Tunde Sodeke's refinery, this is TAJUDEEN OLORI refinery, this is ADEBESIN's refinery. Now, I want to sell my own at this, because I look at the profit margin is still okay for me. And that is how to drive competition in the economy. But when government is holding it, you want to enjoy monopoly that is not there, and the monopoly that I think they are enjoying now is just trying to use the money the way we want to use it. And that is not going to help the economy. Okay. Let government sell these refineries, let private sectors come, you have Dangote bringing his own, you have the other guys buying the existing refineries, and then you will drive competition.
Alhaji, there was a time you spoke glowingly about modular refineries, that is the way to go, and that will show our production in Nigeria if more people are licensed to have modular refineries. Now, some of them are on stream already, they are into production, but we have not seen the effect. So, and the essence of this is to make sure that they regulate pricing through the PPPRA and the DPR. But unfortunately, that effect, we have not seen that effect. You are a major player in this oil and gas industry. What are the underlying factors?
When you talk about the modular refineries, how many of them do we have on stream yet? And you know the capacity of these modular refineries are very, very small. The other time I was on program here, I was talking about NDPR. NDPR has been existing, that is Niger Delta Petroleum Refinery. They have been existing and operating for more than 5 years. But what has been the effect? They are producing very small. So if you have 10 modular refineries, they still cannot produce what Kaduna Refinery can produce. But the Kaduna Refinery is not producing. So what those guys are producing are very small. Then what they are producing, are they selling it into the Nigerian market? I'm not very sure. And that is why I said, and I said it repeatedly, I've said it repeatedly on this program, that it depends on the kind of contract, agreement that the government enters into with the Dangote refinery that is coming, because he is into business to make profit. Now, if he starts producing and he gets a good buyer from outside the country, he knows that he's going to make a lot of profit there, he can sell there, he can decide to sell there. But if there is an agreement, like Mr. Adebesin said here, that you can say, okay, this particular number of barrels is for local consumption. You buy, if you want to subsidize, that is the way to subsidize. That, okay, these thousands of barrels that you'll be producing daily, we will sell at so price, so that the price in the country will be stable. You can do that. And you can now say, okay, you are making, that is where you are subsidizing. But the way we are subsidizing, we cannot audit how much is coming into the country. So people are cooking figures. We know during Jonathan regime that some people are saying some of the cargoes that they said were coming in were not actually coming in. They were just papers that they were signing. And you will pay subsidy on all those ones. So there are better ways to pay subsidies. Let us have our refineries working. Then now go into agreement with them that so thousand of barrels that you produce, we will subsidize it so that the prices in the country will be stable. So that's the way to do the to make it stable. But government still holding on to these refineries, we will continue to talk about instability in the price of the petroleum products, because we will continue to import. And as we are importing, we will normally be subjected to foreign exchange.
Okay, Mohammed, now we have the refineries, 4 of them in Nigeria, and none is producing today as we talk. And these are refineries that if they are put on stream, if they are back to work, they can augment whatever we are going to consume in Nigeria, because the population keeps increasing. By the last count, we were told we are now 206 million people in this nation. Now, the regulation has been an albatross, has been the greatest undoing for this nation. Now, is government doing us any good, any positive thing by holding on to the regulation? Because the regulation has not been fully done in this oil and gas industry, when you look at it very well. So what do we do here that Nigeria can move forward? Can we go the way of start the regulation, or we completely forget about it?
Thank you very much. Let me shock you. The financial year audit for NNPC puts NNPC books at a deficit of about 4 trillion. And you ask that, how can a government business, or let me say a big corporation like NNPC that is not producing, how come it had a deficit of 4 trillion? What it means is that they kept spending like they were working. They were recruiting, paying salaries, getting allowances, doing all the extra codes. And you will be surprised that if you drill down those books, you see a lot of things that you just be short of words. So, and it does not take rocket science for any government to know that there's a problem there. This country, we don't like to face reality. And the simple truth is that we are not yet ready. Before the finance are not like Alaji TAJUDEEN as I said earlier, the solution is the best thing is that a functional government with when we say functional government, let's not make mistake. It does not mean the president. Somebody is a petroleum minister. Somebody is MD NNPC. Somebody is in what's it called? This other body that regulates PPRA. Somebody is there.
But the president is the Minister of Petroleum in Nigeria.
But you and I know that. You and I know that if the president is Minister for Petroleum in Nigeria, he is being briefed of the activities of NNPC. This leakage that we are talking about is a leakage that goes down to even up to level 8 officer. But let's not digress from the real issue.
Okay.
I tell you that today, if government hands off that refinery, and which we must knock the government because it shows government's incapacity. Ordinarily, all over the world, there are public corporations. Even if they tell us capitalism, 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 all over the world, there are areas that governments know that these are essential sectors, like health, like power, and government holds it with the jugular, by the jugular. That this one, it will make or money. So if we have now concluded that, okay, we have all sat and government, you have failed, the second option is release it. Because we've tried you over and over, you continue to fail, you cannot pass. But you didn't pass, and you didn't release it. How do you resolve it? Today, Dangote is building a refinery. But if this current refineries, if governments want to sell them now, it will take us to another issue of privatization. We saw how they privatize power. See, where sincerity is not the bedrock, where mediocrity is mediocrity is the order of the day. Even if they want to privatize these refineries again, I tell you, we will most likely go to part 2 of the trouble. Because competency is a major criteria in privatizing a refinery. So you don't just go and just bring one Alhaji Mohammed somewhere, or Alhaji Kola somewhere, or one Damshida somewhere and say, okay, take refinery, go and look for technical partners. You see what's happening in Ajaokuta. What good has it brought? The power that they privatized, that they sold, what has happened? In fact, it is so annoying that government is still spending heavily. Government still buy transformer now. Have they not privatized power? So if government is handing off the refinery, that is one. The major thing is that they should bring those who are technically fit to supervise that process. Not just pick a vice president who is a lawyer or a professor and put him in charge of privatizing refinery. We will most likely have be in a vicious circle. So if we are sincere that want to fix this country, the value chain for oil is so big. I don't know what's happening to Nigeria. If let's even leave crude, if we refine this, do you know how many neighboring countries, West Africa, that wants to buy petrol? They say they take our petrol to Benin Republic. If Benin has a refinery, would our petrol be going to Benin Republic? Why can't we just look at that value chain that we can make a lot of money from this? Get this now, the refinery is in Niger. We are planning to bring in somebody now has used his own sense to build a refinery in Niger, and most likely it may even be a Nigerian anyway. And we'll bring in products from that Niger to Nigeria. How do we, is that backtracking or what?
Okay, Alhaji, is the problem of this sector the upstream subsector or the downstream subsector? Because there seems to be a kind of imbalance between the two, and that is why we keep having this challenge.
No, when you talk about this sector, are we making profit from that sector or not? We are making profit. Those people that have invested in that sector, are they not making money? They are making money. But the problem of that sector is that of policy making. It is the administration that is not decisive enough, because there is money there. There is no doubt. Government cannot tell you that they are not making money from the oil sector. They are making money. So if we want to talk about the problem in that sector, it is about the government, because there are lots of benefits in that sector, and we are not realizing that benefit. And that is where government has to be decisive. Hands off the refineries. There is no point holding on to something. You keep pumping money there, it's not giving you anything, and you say you want to hold on to it. So if you sell it to anybody, that person is going to make it to work.
Okay, just in one sentence as we question, realistically, can fuel pumpers go for 200 naira in Nigeria?
It can. It can go for 200 naira, and it can come to as low as 100 naira. It depends on how we play our game.
So should that happen, Mohammed? Would it not affect business expansions?
Definitely, it will. Because it's really unfortunate that even if price does not go up in international markets, if exchange rate for naira continues to drop, it will still have the same effect. So we are faced with two guns, one on the right hand, one on the left hand.
All right, thank you very much. It's on that note that we are going to drop the anchor on the program this week, Democratic Power. We have taken a look at discrete fuel pump price hike, which of course is right out there, and a lot of Nigerians are complaining that the pump price has gone up to a level that some people cannot even bear the cost any longer, because the budget for each individual has not in any way increased. But kudos to the economists, to those in the financial sector, that the nation has been able to exit recession due to the 0.11 growth that we recorded in the fourth quarter of year 2020. That's how I'm going to end the program. We'll see you next week, God willing. But I must thank my two guests in the house, Engineer TAJUDEEN, who is an oil and gas expert. Thanks for sharing your time and your thought with us as well.
Thank you very much.
And of course, don't forget MOHAMMED ADEBESIN as well too. Thanks for your thoughts on the program. That's way.
You're welcome.
So, God willing, I'll see you next week. By His grace, keep flourishing in the peace of the Most High. I remain to the show. Bye for now.
With gratitude to God for a life well spent, the families of Odukoya